Hey y'all, so today we're going to be making two different types of paper flowers. For this project you will need paper, scissors, and tape. Before we can begin making our rose, we need to have a medium square sheet of paper. It's okay if the square isn't perfect, this is just to give us a good idea of the shape. I'm quickly dividing a paper in half and then using 1/2 to make a triangle, and that'll give me a nice square. You do not have to use this method, you can cut a square any way you would like to. Now I'm going to take my scissors and round off each of the corners. Now that we have our new shape, starting from the outside, we're going to cut in a spiral pattern towards the center. Don't worry if your spiral isn't perfect. All those little lumps and bumps help make your rose look a little bit more realistic. Now it is very important that you are constantly turning your paper. Notice I have one hand for cutting and one hand for driving or for turning the paper. Your spiral should look a little bit like a snake. Now we're going to turn it so that we can start with the tail of the snake. Now we want to roll up the paper. So what we're going to do is start very close to the end of the tail. We're going to fold the very tip of it, and you're just going to keep folding a little bit over and over. And as you're folding, you want to start smoothing out those creases. So instead of a crease, you have something that looks more like a log or a pipe. Continue rolling until you reach the end of your paper. It's going to start getting a little bit more messy the closer you get to the end. Just don't let go of it. Make sure you keep it in place and you keep rolling. You really want to get that spiral in there. Now when you do get to the end, and if you've rolled your flower really tightly, you can actually let go of it. And when you let go of it, it should fall in place to look like a beautiful rose. Now as you can see, it's not going to stay together on its own. You have to tape it. And what I like to do is take the bottom of it so that the middle stays in place. Now this flower is slightly more complicated, but it's a lot of fun, and I think the end product looks really nice. Now I only like to use 1/4 of a sheet of paper for this flower. So what I'm going to do is fold a sheet of paper in half, hamburger style, and then take one of those halves and fold it in half again to get 1/4 of the paper. Now I like to tear my paper off, but what you can do is just take some scissors and cut along that fold. Now I'm going to fold this paper into thirds. I'm going to fold along the long side so that the folded piece of the paper is equal to the paper that's visible. Now you have a small section of paper and a large section. We are going to be cutting the large section and leaving the small section alone. Cut the large section into strips about the same width as your pinky. Do this for the entire length of the paper. Remember to stop cutting at the fold, but make sure you do cut all the way to the fold. When you finish, you should get something that looks a little bit like a hula skirt. Now we are going to roll up each little strip just like we did for the first flower. I'm going to try my best here to show you how I start. See, I do a little tiny fold and I might squish down just a little bit to make it more round. And then as I squish, I'm going to keep turning the paper. Now it should just roll right up. Continue this for each strip. This part does take a little while. However, creating these flowers, cutting them and doing this rolling motion is going to help strengthen those muscles in your hand. Just like how you want to strengthen your arm muscles, your leg muscles, your stomach muscles, you also need to do this for your hands. It's going to give you better coordination. This will help you learn how to write better, and it may also help you with your sports too. This is what your finished product should look like. Now we're going to give this flower a stem and a leaf. So I have a green sheet of paper, and I'm going to start at the corner and just start slowly rolling the paper up, and I'm going to roll towards the opposite corner. Once you're done rolling your stem, be sure to tape the top and the bottom to make sure it stays in place. To finish our flower, pick up your strip so that the rolls are facing away from you. You're going to start at the top right corner and start rolling a little bit at an angle so that the rolled pieces of paper fall in place underneath one another. Once you finish, go ahead and tape the bottom of the rolled paper so that your flower stays in place. After I tape my flower, I like to run my fingers along the frills to fluff it up just a little bit. Go ahead and place your stem inside of your flower and tape your flower in place. If you would like to make a leaf for your flower to cover up the seam, go ahead and grab another sheet of paper and cut out a leaf shape. I like my leaf to be a little bit longer for this flower type. Tape just the bottom of the leaf to the flower stem. Once you are finished taping, go ahead and shape your leaf and roll it any way you'd like to make it look more realistic.